Hello, guys. So, welcome to the Crypto OGs episode number 3. This is your host, Andres Meneses. I'm very excited to be here. I think so. Somebody's writing me. They have a little bit of echo. Let me just take it out. So, I have so many people here right now. Tell me where you're connecting. I have people before from Bangladesh, Thailand, Philippines, Germany, Turkey, South Africa, Nigeria, Colombia, Bulgaria. How are you guys? Thank you so much. This is episode number 3 of Cryptologist, and we have a very special guest today. I met this guest a couple of weeks ago in the Binance Blockchain Week in Paris, and as soon as I started to talk to him, I knew I had to bring him to you guys. This guy is not only one of the smartest guys in Web3, he knows a lot about trading. He has mentored so many traders. But on top of that, he has a pure heart. So let me introduce you to my good friend, Adrian. CryptoBirb, how are you, man?
Hi. Hi, I'm good. I'm good. Beautiful weather up here in Dubai, bro. Looking at you, Andres, as always, kind of like makes me smile a lot. Lots of good words. Thank you, man.
Thank you so much, man. So thank you for being our guest in Cryptology. So we are live in Binance Live and also on Twitter. So let me just share with you before I forget the link in Twitter so people can connect. Let me just do it very quick for you. So your audience also can see you live. Da, 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 da. How is the weather in Dubai?
Yeah, listen, I mean, I think, the situation here in Dubai is overall good, for crypto. So the weather is good for like the very, I say season and for the crypto, right? Overall. So by this weather, I mean the very government kind of like being open to cryptocurrency enthusiasts, to blockchain developers, to like giving a lot of businesses with providing them with low taxation kind of like formulas, right? Here's basically like a good tax haven place, with 0% taxes on crypto. Next year, I think they're going to just bring some sort of like a 9% corporate income tax, but it's not going to be applicable to many forms anyway. So overall, I'm happy to be here. I'm kind of like you know
You were mute. You were mute. But okay. I like that how you start the show, Adrian. You start to bring in good energy live from Dubai. But let me introduce you properly. For many of you that you know who is Adrian, Adrian is first of all an engineer, chartered market technician. On top of that, he has a massive community in Twitter, more than 600 people. He's been in cryptocurrency from 2017, which is amazing. That's why he's an OG. But more than that, he also did a master's degree in chemical technology and project management, finance, focusing in finance. He's also a performer, a mentor, an influencer, a great friend. Adrian, you are a guy with so many hats and so many skills. So let's start from the beginning. Tell us how you start in cryptocurrency, what year it was, and you remember the first crypto that like what was the first appearance that crypto came into your life? Did you hear through friends, or you saw on Facebook, or you saw it on the radio? How was it the first time that you came across cryptocurrency?
yeah, bro. I think it makes sense. I mean, I think when I was finishing my kind of like past a minute ago, I think it's gonna like my got interrupted or something. But one way or another, uh, you know, my active side of the crypto story started in 2017, which is when I had basically more time for myself to invest, like my energy, my focus, my dedication to something else outside the studies that I was doing at that time. And well, prior to this, I would hear about crypto in 2013, 14. And my grandfather used to use Bitcoin for football bets,
Oh my
So it
gosh.
was yeah, it was pretty crazy at that time. Uh, at the same time, from what I know, he's never been a good trader. I remember, from the when I was a kid. I remember him sitting, all days glued in front of his computer screen in those fancy, crazy curves and charts, which is exactly what I am doing right now, with this difference, that I think I have way more structured approach to systematic trading. But other than this, in 2014, of course, Bitcoin would have this anti-gox collapse, so the hack, would come in, and I remember, basically, talking to my friends, like me being, the chemical technology kind of like student at the time. I was having a lot of friends from the IT department, from coders, programming, and some people were interested in blockchain. And I was meeting, all those geeks at the parties, and having good time, hanging around, drinking beers, getting, drunk, basically, typically what Polish people do out there. And I remember, of course, many people talking about Bitcoin, like, "Oh, dude, like, did you hear what Bitcoin just crashed? It just crashed so badly, right?" And it was fresh after this, hack collapsed. So that was the time that I kind of like, heard about Bitcoin, and I was starting to hear more and more. But my focus was on the studies. My focus was on the chemical technology at the time. So I decided, okay, I have to play the priority game first. So I put my first things first, decided to finish off the studies. And then when I finished off the studies, graduated from one university, then only I was able to kind of like invest my time and focus in something else, which crypto was. So, the very first crypto, I guess, I think it was called Databits, something like this. Now, it was Digibyte as well, like DGB. I don't even know if they are around. Like some of them may be around still. Uh, but definitely, first time back, first earned money, but also first lost money. So eventually, it was good time, early 2017, right ahead of these biggest pumps. Good memories back there.
Well, that's amazing, Adrian. That everything came obviously from the family first. So you understood about crypto from the beginning, or the news came from the family, let's say like that, and then within your colleagues as an engineer. For example, from my side, even though I'm a computer engineer, I was working as a project manager. By my office where I used to work, I was talking about Bitcoin, Dash, Litecoin. Everybody thought it was crazy. Nobody believed. Only one guy, even when they were engineers, only one guy believed in me, and he bought a bunch of Dash. By the way, guys, everything that we're saying today, this is no financial advice. Remember, do your own research. Very important. Adrian, but you mentioned something very important also about community building. So you understood about crypto, you start to learn, as you said, educate yourself, but then you said you were hanging around with a bunch of people that were enthusiastic about the cryptocurrency space. And I think so this is something that many people don't understand at the beginning. So, and this is something that Satoshi Nakamoto did very well at the beginning. I don't know if you have read Digital Gold by Nathaniel Popper, the untold story about Bitcoin. But in the book, he explained how Satoshi, he started to build a community just sending emails and in Reddit. And then he get two more people to help him with the project. It was everything about community. So let's talk about community, because we go to all these different events. We've been doing it for 5 years, 6 years, and then we know like who to talk to. But when you are in an event or a small community, a small gathering, the information gets faster. You get more like attached to the industry. But tell us how been your, let's say, your evolution within your community. How you start from zero to now to have 600,000 followers on Twitter and have one of the biggest trading academies in Europe. Tell us that transition for somebody that just getting started, that is new in crypto. Maybe it's been 1, 2 weeks, a month, and now they want to follow your path.
Yeah, you're too kind, and thank you for the kind words. I do believe, listen, that this journey is full of lots of ups and turns, and it's just like any chart in the world, it never goes in a straight line up forever. It always has its own, like I said, twists and turns and ups and downs, peaks and valleys. So here it was no different. To be honest, I had my points, where I would be not so much. Basically kind of like having too much community on, like in the past. I was only starting to get like this recognition. I remember in 2017, later in 2017, when the market was doing really good, towards the end of the year, when the Bitcoin was basically, trading from 15 to, into $20,000. I remember it was actually, this is a good time. We are talking, this is 30th of September. And like a couple of years ago, this 2017. At that time, Bitcoin was actually just breaking through the new all-time highs constantly, and it was bringing, like $5,000 milestone, $7,000 milestone, $10,000 milestone, and it kind of like kept elevating, which of course brought many people, to the game. And that is, somehow that by being in Twitter at that time, by posting and sharing, my thoughts, my charts, of course, they were relatively uneducated at that time. I was starting to get this a little bit of attraction. People, started getting attracted to what I do, to what I share, to what I write, and they started following me, right? However, I think the major impulse came in later, 1 year later, which was 2018 on the bear market floor, and many people basically found the tweet that I shared in 2018, but it was 11 months earlier. It was in January or February when I was talking about like Bitcoin being priced, evaluated at $3,000-$4,000, that it's possible that we would see, this kind of like prices, which we of course saw eventually. So I guess there was a tiny bit of luck in it. Eventually, it's hard to guess the bottom or the peak always, but some people, just did manage to dig this tweet up, find it. And then the tweet started flying, and then people were starting to realize, okay, this dude, like maybe this dude is knowing something that we don't. Let's follow him, right? So that's how I got my first 10,000 followers, my first 20,000, 50,000. And because I followed through, because I actually, kept learning, kept educating myself, following also the CMT path, improving as a technical analyst, as a crypto trader. Well, I had this opportunity to grow, and I just, took a shot with it, and then continued to grow. That's what I keep doing. Similarly, 5 years later, like I said, this is definitely a downturn right now for the bear market, for the recession. I was just posting a tweet, just for a moment, in answer to one of the guys asking the comments about the engagement. And just to give you a rough estimation of what the engagements, were for me on Twitter, like you very well know about the engagements. You're a huge person on Instagram and everywhere you go. So congratulations. The engagements and the views that I was getting, on my Twitter account back in 2021 in November were like 170 million a month or something like this. Right now, it's down to like 10 million, 5 million.
Oh,
Wow. So it's like a massive deterioration, massive, weakening there, which reminds me a lot to what was happening in 2018, right? So, but I keep learning, keep improving, and hopefully this is going to be following up higher.
Well, Adrian, this is fascinating what you just said. Like social media and also the cryptocurrency space, it has ups and downs. So you start to build your community from scratch. No many people knew about you. Then you did that tweet saying about the price of Bitcoin, and 11 months become reality, obviously, because you were studying a lot, and you also did it based in an intuition that you were getting started. And obviously, you learn a lot from different people. But what you just say went from 170 million impressions to 10 million impressions on Twitter from 2018 to today is crazy. So one thing that I'm very, very happy what Binance is doing. Obviously, we're here in Binance Live, and we met through a Binance event, and you're also one of the biggest key opinion leaders for Binance. They are doing a lot for social media, So for everybody that's in Binance Live, just watching the streams, just looking at other content creators, this is good for somebody that just want to get started in social media and crypto. I think so. We're very privileged that CC and all the team from the social media part and Binance Live have bring this together, because the algorithm, as you say, on Instagram, on Twitter, and other platforms is not as easy. So but it's never too late, right? It's never too late to start in social media and in trading. Let's talk now about trading, because trading is a topic that people think obviously is getting rich quick. People see the lavish lifestyle, people buying Lamborghinis, people living in private jets, going to Monaco, to Saint-Tropez, to all of this crazy life. But they think that trading is only that, it's lifestyle, but there's a component behind trading that people don't show, but you show it, because you show your analysis, your trends, you show how many hours do you apply in the computer. tell us that path as a trader. Like, when did you start to see results after like 1 year, 2 years? And when did you feel confident also to start to teach others? Tell us that path out for a trader, for somebody that's just getting started.
Yeah. I think I would get started, with saying that my educational kind of like aspect to it had started way before I got into crypto, because before crypto started, I had been basically working as a private tutor, private teacher for chemistry, for maths, for physics, for all the sciences, to many kind of like people out there, like helping them pass the exams and then making their ways nicely through school and so on and so forth. And in all honesty, I would always appreciate this opportunity to convey certain message to the people, so that typically when I was having most of my teachers at school, they were not really good quality, right? As in, those basically were the people who would just come to work and they would be like, oh yeah, let's just knock this stuff off and let's just fucking go home, right? Or something like this. And like it is very scarce to see very good quality teachers. So I decided that taking the best I could from those teachers who I really loved and admired, I was able to convey certain message and not only learn as in get to people that certain knowledge, certain like plain information, but also certain message on top of it, right? About the persistence, about following through, about just continuing to chase their dreams and so on. Long story short, and this kind of like I think paved the way, to me to becoming and opening the educational platform, the Birbness, right, that we've got since 2017. So this is where the things accelerated for me as a teacher, because I was able to get the platform, this audience, and this community, that instead of having this kind of like a private one-on-one chats with with limited reach to the to certain people, students, I was able to actually take it to yet another level, to the next level, and basically use the entire community that I had, right? So the impact that I was starting to get was 100 times bigger, like 1,000 times bigger, 5,000 times bigger than what I had on the private kind of like sessions. So all those things concerned, this I think applies well to anything, and I mean to trading, to learning maths, to being a good tennis player, whatever that is, right? If you keep improving, if you keep learning, keep kind of like getting it's not just one foot on the platform, right? But it's like all in, kind of like the knowledge, the mindset, and you keep learning, keep trying to soak in the information, then naturally what comes as a result is this potential that you build, right? So you build a lot of knowledge within you, have a lot of knowledge, and then it's up to you whether you want to again push it somewhere else to the people, convey the message, push it further, or kind of like utilize this within your own circle. And this well applies, like I said, to anything. But for me, the main focus started coming within technical analysis. That's where I started, shaping my skills. Of course, the technical analysis, charts and the ideas, concept that I used in 2017 were very different. They were very uneducated. They were very primitive, if you will. They were very simple. I definitely had, much less understanding about, how the things worked in finance. So right now, I can tell that, just a little bit more, maybe I know about the finance, but because it's such a dynamic matter, it's such a dynamic field where real-time data, just flows in and manipulates the prices each and every single second, then it's impossible to catch this rabbit, but you can always try to, chase him, right? And that's how I kind of like got, down the rabbit hole here, being a technical analyst, being a crypto trader. For me, it's always starting from the kind of like theoretical background, right? So many people would first kind of like try to rush and get their feet wet basically, and then just get hurt, get harmed to their portfolio, and lose all their money, and they would still learning after this. This is the most frequent pattern, and there is nothing wrong with it. I mean, this is typical kind of like situation, typical scenario what happens. However, if one's dream is to become the trader, they have to realize that it's not just enough to again invest and oh, I'm just going to invest and lay back, I'm just going to watch on the sidelines and not how my money pile just grows, right? Becoming fucking rich like overnight. So instead, it doesn't work like that, of course. Instead, what we have to do is we have to, provide the work and keep learning. And I mean, for my side, this learning of trading comes from the theoretical background, which is technical trading, technical analysis. And there are many ways of trading, right? Some people are fundamental investors when they would try to, counted and discounted cash flows, or like, price to book, values, or they would come and measure price to sales and different kind of like, financial statements of companies, trying to figure out which are underappreciated, which are undervalued, which are overvalued for potential good investments. There are people who would invest based on the sentiment, like sentiment traders or contrarians. There are people who would trade based on intermarket correlations, right? Who would basically see, oh, the dollar is pumping, so I'm now going to sell short each and every single risk asset that I have. Myself, I'm a technical trader. Technical means that I'm trying to look and understand what's happening between two parties trading. So let's say there's a trader 1 and trader 2, or trader A and trader B. And my job as a technical analyst is try to step and look close to them, what's happening and the connection between them, right? So while the fundamental analysis helps you look and understand what's happening outside of the market. So what is happening, outside of the Bitcoin, if you will. At the same time, for the technical analyst, what's important to what's happening inside of the Bitcoin market, right? So this is what the technical analysis means. And me being able to use and apply certain technical analysis tools, just like trend lines, certain chart patterns, trends, moving averages, this helps understand and portray certain picture that potentially may be more likely to come than not. However, it doesn't give you a guarantee that it's going to happen, right? So we never know that, what the future holds. I don't know if I'm going to wake up tomorrow at all, right? Perhaps I'll be dead. I don't know. So we cannot ever, guarantee for what's going to happen in a day from now or in a week from now, not even to mention in a year from now, right? When there's so much of the unpredictability, so much of the, tensions going on in the geopolitical scene, where this butterfly effect, it happened, and the butterfly flaps its wings, it swings somewhere on the other side of the planet, and it's going to cause a hurricane, somewhere. So, I guess that just being able to invest my own time and resources that I had, the money that I earned, into the educational kind of like materials, into books. I'd read really many books, on technical trading and technical analysis. This definitely helped me gain a little bit of knowledge and just a little bit of understanding how the markets work, enough to make it a profitable journey for me.
That's so exciting, Adrian. And I have Sirbu Dan from Bangladesh. He's saying that he loves your beer, by the way. I just reading the notes in Binance Live. People love your beer. They're telling that knowledge is power. He said they're saying that they love Binance. Burj Khalifa was amazing. They're saying that they like the way that you made it feel. CryptoBirb is so sunny behind. Just to let you know what the community is doing. We have 2,000 people watching right now on Binance Live, so which is very exciting, to be part of this family. So you talk about mentality. Mentality is very important, especially for trading. But let's talk about resilience and persistence, because I think so that's something that most of the leaders and OGs in crypto have in common. Like, we're very crazy. Everybody that's in crypto, we're a bit crazy to jump in a new technology that not many people understand. We have to learn in the process ourselves, but teach at the same time. But I probably assume that you have so many failures in the past. You probably lost money, won money, obviously, and there probably was a moment in your life that you said, you know what, this might not work. Like, you probably didn't have self-belief in yourself. That happened to all of us. So let's talk about mindset and persistence. So when was the moment that you said, this is too hard? I remember I was talking to one of our good friends in common. He is a trader as well, a KOL. He been trading from 2013, 14, and it took him like 4 years to make money. And then he made like $80,000, and then he lost everything. And then he's had to start again. So 2 questions here. What has been like your biggest loss? Can be in terms of quantity, or can be in terms of like really got you down for a couple of days, a couple of weeks. How you rebounce of that? So for people that just getting started in trading as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is a very good, real question. I wish there was one simple answer to it. I don't have a prepared number for how much I lost. It was probably like all together if I were, because I'm not a day trader. I don't put all my money in, just one trade so that I can say that, oh, just lost half of my portfolio with this one trade, right? So I have many, many different, types of assets. I have real estate. I have, invest in gold, silver, and even jewelry, stupid jewelry, and I was holding my portfolio up, for the entire 2022 so far. And crypto outside of cash and other kind of like, durable goods, this is just one part, it's just one type of the market, right? And like I said, I don't have any prepared number. I do believe that I typically like lost, somewhere close to 6-7 figures. I don't know how much specifically. I remember trades where I lost like $300,000. I remember trades when I won, $1 million. I remember trades where I would have missed basically on specific huge rallies that I was all about to get invested, heavily, but I didn't, and then it flight, and then it didn't mark the flight, for like 500x or something. So and those I'm mentioning those unrealized, opportunities because they are valid costs, they are opportunity costs, right? These are the money that I could have earned, but you didn't. So they technically count as loss. So if accounting all the losses that I got, I imagine this would be somewhere between like, probably 3-5 million. I don't know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but this is like I said, it's never for me, in this one single trade that I have it, right? So that I could say, oh, that this with this and Bitcoin USDT trade on 50x futures, I basically shorted and I was wrong and I lost 56, percent of my portfolio or something. So it is always kind of like many different, bits and pieces here and there that I'm collecting that give me earnings and that give me losses. And there is never, for such a, complexity in portfolio when it's never all in one asset, because there is complexity in portfolio, which is good, it distributes the risk. And the finance, in finance, what matters is not only the profit, but is also the risk side to it, the volatility. And in fact, in the financial terms, many people, instead of like returns on portfolio, or returns on equity, or returns on position, whatever, they would use risk-adjusted returns. And by that, I mean like a Sharpe ratio or some other September ratio, which basically takes an earning minus some sort of like, like a risk-free rate, like a treasury bond or something, divided by the volatility. So there's this relationship that your portfolio can have good returns, but if it has good returns and the volatility is high of it, which typically happens, then it's still not going to be high or efficient portfolio. It's not going to be good, because what matters, what happens if you have good portfolio, as in, good earnings, and it just goes, shows up like aggressively, but the volatility is like that and it chops you around basically, and causing too much risk and too much stress, and of course making many people just lose their faith and close positions early and hold on to their losses, and many of them different kind of like mental traps like that. So with this portfolio distribution between many different risk assets and risk types of assets, I've got positions which are more risk averse, as in cash. Cash is right now, of course, losing a lot right now in Polish. In Poland, this is just as hot news, kind of like early morning came up that the inflation year over year for September 2022 is basically 17.2%, which is insane. So by holding, over a year, we are losing 17%. This is like exceptionally ridiculous. And in theory, cash is riskless. In theory, cash shouldn't have any risk, right? But of course, this inflation risk is high. But still, even if the markets are losing, even if the positions, are losing, then I would still have portfolio built in a way so that it has differently correlated assets. As in one asset, you often, to balance out your portfolio, to cut a little bit of the profits, but to decrease your volatility and risk to the portfolio, you try to mix different assets which move in different directions. As in, when Bitcoin moves up, you perhaps just maybe want to have, I don't know, cash, right, which is going to balance it out, or gold, for instance, right? So that whenever one goes up, the other one goes down. And result of the profit is smaller, but at the same time, the volatility of the portfolio, the risk of the portfolio is smaller. So despite I am losing, let's say, because this is a bear market and recession, I'm losing on certain positions, then I am losing much less than that I would have lost if I had stayed only in Bitcoin, let's say, right? So Bitcoin is like 60% down, but because I had distributed, Bitcoin profits, in last quarter last year, outside of crypto, I didn't lose as much as I would have if I stayed only in Bitcoin, right? So there's always this kind of like never straight line up. It never happens that all the portfolio goes up, forever, that all the positions go up at the same time, or that all the positions go down at the same time. But that comes with the portfolio diversification, and that's the healthy approach.
Like they say, there's an old phrase they say, don't put your eggs in one basket, no? Just diversify your portfolio. And by the way, guys, remember this is only opinion from us. It's no financial advice. Do your own research, very important. Adrian, so you those 7 figures, lost, but obviously you learn from the experience, you learn from it. But something that I've been looking at you and I've been following your Twitters, and something that you take very serious is the technical part. These are long games, so people sometimes get emotional, and if they lose, they don't think they can go back on track. But you take this very serious from a technical analysis point of view, and also the more that the more you try, the more structure you have, it will bounce back. Correct. Let's talk about your students, because there are many people. I'm one of those people that want to learn from you, Adrian. Let's talk about your student, because I think so. Success leaves clues, right? So you've been 5 years, 6 years in crypto. You have achieved massive success. You become wealthy. You're probably, and in one point of your life, you want to help other people, and that's what you're doing through your with CryptoBirb, but also probably we talk at the end about how else are you helping people from the philanthropic point of view. But let's talk about your students. Can you tell us, when they join your program or your mentorship, what they can expect, and tell us what has been one of 2 or 3 cases of studies of your students they become financial free, but also they repeat your success.
Yeah. So there's like this whole on our Discord, which is one of the communicators that we use, for the community. We have this entire section of the success stories, and probably if I started scrolling right now, we would not manage to finish until the end of the show. I can show you just a glimpse of this, but there are plenty of people, who would definitely just have massive success with it. There would be people who will also have massive failures, right? Typically, those would be the people who would, ignore all the risks, and they would just counter trade every single word, that was short or, educated as a healthy approach to trading. But I cannot fight it. I cannot force anybody to do one way or another. We're not a fund. We don't have a hedge fund or any sort of like a proprietary fund management license. So I'm not a portfolio management for people. I'm not collecting people's money, right? So I can only say what I imagine from the educational standpoint, from the technical standpoint, from the art standpoint, is supposed to be a good move. But I will never know, whether those people are eventually going to apply that. And like many stories come from the people who show this persistence, right? Okay. So despite there were many failures, they had their losses, that like 5 trades lost in a row, like 10 trades lost in a row. And this is, the more losses you see, the easier it is to give up, basically, right? Because then you're starting seeing this kind of like a trend, this tendency, that I'm a terrible shitty trader, I just keep losing, right? And we have this tendency of what we call is fallacy, this crime of small numbers, so that we would extrapolate from small data, right? Another term for it is representativeness bias, where people would have just tiny bit of a small data, right? So let's say instead of 100 trades, they would take like 5 trades, and they would say, I lost this 5 trades, so I must be a terrible trader, so I better give up. Well, for instance, these 5 trades might be, might be nothing compared with the wins that I would have if they had stayed for the 100 trades, right? So building this large numbers, is what defines eventually the success. And it's not about losing one time or winning one time, right? It's not about this windfall profit that, oh, I'm lucky, I won this bet, and the money all of a sudden appeared on my account because I was right. And I didn't even need it. I entered the trade accidentally, but it earned me money, right? So it doesn't make anybody a good trader. It doesn't make anybody a bad trader either. So you can only tell, and you should approach it as a trader, as a technical trader. This very top level of trading always comes down to systematic trading, as in you build your own system, right? And a good technical system consists of the market entries, what kind of like markets you trend, the market exits, what stop losses you have, your risk management, position sizing, and on top of that, the technique that you use, as in if it's a Ichimoku or if it's moving averages or if it's some other Bollinger Bands or something. So building, this system eventually leads to what I think is the most important point in trading, which is this very persistence, right? Building the system gives this non-discretionary mode to it, as in discretionary traders would each and every single time they would weigh in on their emotions and they would say, oh, this pattern looks good, but maybe I'm not going to enter it, right? Or this pattern looks shitty, but shit, let's give it a go, right? Let's try. And this discretion each and every single time, this opinion of one person is more likely than not going to be used wrongly, because it's impacted by emotions. And by definition, emotions are spontaneous reactions within our body and mind. We cannot control them. So whenever we rely on our money, and attach it to something that we cannot control, then risk factor to it is complete bollocks, right? It doesn't work. Like there is no risk management to it. So as long as we cannot predict the future, because we cannot predict the future, right? We don't know what is going to be, happening tomorrow. We can only manage our risks, as in the money that we want to invest, the amount of money that we have in a position, depending on what we see in the chart, right? So if we see, let's say, Bitcoin chart pattern has, I don't know, 65% of likelihood of the past, 11 years that it broke upwards then downwards, then you may weigh in and decide, okay, now this pattern is happening again, and historically it has 65% of the chances, over larger sample of data. So just maybe there is something to it. So I know that if there is high chance of winning, then I may put just a little bit more of my money into potentially better position, right? Another way around, if I know that a pattern or at a specific date, just for instance, Bitcoin hates September. September is the only losing year on average for Bitcoin. The only losing year out of all 12 months.
So we have 12 hours left.
Yeah. Exactly, right. The only losing month in the entire year is September. So I know that, for example, in September, I don't want to be spending too much money, because I know that historically it's been very poor performing month. And by doing this a little bit of adjustments on the risk side, deciding how much money I want to invest where it's safer and how much money I want to not invest when it's dangerous, just like September, only then you can really push your trade, your portfolio upwards, have some better income. And eventually, about 30% of the time, so 3 out of 10 times, you're going to have those larger tails in the market developing, those trends, right? 70% of the time, the market just chops around, just like what Bitcoin does. It just chops around, $25,000, $17,000, just goes back around, doesn't make sense, no persistence, no follow through. However, for the 30% of the time, the trends develop, and those trends tend to persist. So when it finally breaks, it continues to move in this direction, right? But it only happens 20% of the time with 30% of the time. Wow. So if you kind of again, do not overinvest when the market is choppy, and wait, with small losses, and wait for a larger trend to develop, then you may actually start winning and letting this larger trend, level up of all the portfolio. So that's exactly the style of my trading, which is what is called trend following.
Trend following. Guys, I hope you are paying attention and taking notes of everything that Adrian is saying, because you are learning from one of the best crypto traders in the world. And if you don't took notes, never mind, you can rewatch this video, share it with your friends and family. We're also live in Twitter, guys, so you also can follow Adrian in crypto_birb. Yeah, that's your Twitter handle. Adrian, I follow you a lot on Twitter. I remember two things that you say today is about basically you cannot guarantee the future. You cannot see what's going to happen in the future. One of our good friends, Evan Lutra, he said the best way to predict the future is writing it right now. But other thing that you mentioned recently, you were on holidays. I can't remember, in a beautiful place. But you said this has been one of the most chilled bear market that you have lived. You're feeling more relaxed in this market than the previous one. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about your life, because we understand and we can perceive you're a great teacher, you're a very good trader, and I have met you in no trader. I met you, we met in Paris and we were just chilling, and then when you put the hat of trader and teacher is totally different, which I respect and I love as well. But let's talk about Adrian, the friend, the good son. Tell us about how your life have changed for the last 5 years, what you used to do before, how you are helping your family and friends. You became also very good in real estate. You mentioned that you bought a couple of properties in the Emirates. Tell us about how much crypto have changed your life. And it only took 5 years. You think that 5 years is long time, but it's not long time. If you want to put it that way, but tell us how crypto changed your life from 2017 to today.
Oh man, this is a very very good question. I think it's changed, my life like significantly. And it definitely, is an opportunity. Just like any opportunity, it can work as this sort of like a trampoline, right? When you step on it, it can bounce you. But first you have to step on it, right? So having this opportunity and using it are completely two different things. I kind of like, consider myself perhaps a little bit lucky, maybe guided. I believe in God. I believe in Jesus. I'm very, very religious. That's what I try to do at least. So I feel like I'm guided. I have, definitely surrounded myself with beautiful people. I have a loving, beautiful family, beautiful wife who supports me 24/7. So it's amazing. So I'm definitely lucky and gifted within those terms. And to give me this hope whenever things are bad, and to kind of like perhaps even slow me down a little bit on purpose when I'm, when things are rolling too good, because when things are rolling good, you tend to get overconfident, right? And this typically is not good for the decisions you make. So I think that crypto came in as this huge opportunity, and it brought me, many friends. I think it made me open eyes to many different other factors. And I was having, many discussions about that. And I have this feeling that, money can change, people a lot, right? And money is this kind of like a amplifier. It's like this, megaphone. If you have good intentions, it can make you, sound better. It can make this good intentions, just propagate more and better and faster. But if you had bad intentions, then those money can turn you into even a worse person, right? So I know people who would use money for terrible things. I know people who would use money for great and amazing things, right? What I try to do, for my own case, is I try to be the second part, right? I try to be the better guy, where money is just giving me this opportunity to grow, to become better person, right? And this just happens, to be a lot of blessing to me, that I can talk to many brilliant people, meet people like yourself, Andres, and this is something that I feel really blessed, for and about. And crypto is just a part of this game, which kind of like accelerated certain stuff for me, right? I'm still 28, about to turn 29 in like 5-6 days, something like this.
When is it? So we can send you tweets?
Yeah, let's go. It's 5th of October.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 5th of October. So it's literally like five days or so. But all of that comes down, like I said, to having this opportunity and to using it, right? And I feel that with me trying to persist to become better, again, perhaps getting deeper into this religious stuff, trying to understand the word from the religious perspective, I meet many different people whom I can give hope, whom I can give a little bit of light when the world is becoming, a darker place, basically. So that is what I hope money is giving, here. I help my parents fix major debts. I help fund, my family, their I don't want it to go too much into the details, of course, but like, putting the money for the universities and so on. This definitely helps me help and bring aid to a lot of charities. So I, have this lovely, beautiful parrot oasis sanctuary in Arizona, in the United States. And I myself, as a crypto bird, and the bird nest is all about the birds in the nest. So, I love parrots. I own three cockatiels, like the small, medium-sized parrots, and I very much feel passionate about helping, the shelters, the parrot animal shelters. And there are tons of, the parrots are very often, trafficked, from Australia to other countries, but they are, very harmed in that, right? When you try to kind of like make money illegally of selling parrots, on this black market, if you will, and selling them in small, bottles, cans, and they are all squeezed, and then kind of like, just from small birds, they grow and they feel trapped. They just don't feel good, physically and mentally. Then, help putting them, having this sort of like a shelter down there in Arizona is something that, can straighten a little bit and bring a little bit of cheer to
That's
their
amazing.
lives. Yeah, so I work with them, on a regular basis. I help them, send, five, six, no, not, it's not six figures, but somewhere like five figures already and counting. And each and every single bigger event I do, I actually commit and send a share of profits to them as a generous, kind of like, as a point of having this generous opportunity to help them.
That's
And of
amazing.
course, I have people, whom I helped, on behalf of my company, on behalf of my own, help their, in Poland, run their surgeries, save their legs from amputations, and there were many of those cases. All is there, uplisted
Wow.
on Twitter. But it's just the beginning, right? I definitely want to use it more and better.
And Adrian, God or whoever you believe in, the universe always give back to the good children. And let's talk about this is a little bit of topic about trading, about crypto, but very quick before we wrap up the streaming today. You need to come to Colombia because in Colombia we have 1,941 species of birds. That is one of the biggest. Like we have so many. Actually, I have some auntie. They have uh, guacamayas,
Wow.
parrots. They have a bunch. This is beautiful. I will take you, and you will see. Wow,
I'm
this is
sold.
amazing.
I'm sold. Let's go.
You need to go to Colombia. You will love it. But
Let's
also
go.
that you are helping your family and the people close by to you, and also people that need this in need in Twitter. But something that you say today, it just got my goosebumps because I done 3 episodes until today. El Jabun in the first episode, you know El Jabun. He's a great guy. He talked about intentions. He talked about intentions that the very first when he was building his community. And then on Wednesday, I have Maggie Su. She was the ex CEO of Jazz Wallet, and she also talked about intentions. And you mentioned the word intention as well for money, like is how the intention with money, so people can be good or bad. So I think so intention is very important for everyone. And I have a surprise for you. It's early for your birthday, but talking about intentions, we're helping a lot of people here in Binance Live with mystery boxes and all of that. Um, and by the way, we to wrap it up, we will talk at the end about how you connect with Binance and why the people need to start to follow Binance and what is good to trade in Binance and what is good to be in Binance Live. But before that, crypto OGs, we're going to meet 100 NFTs in Binance Live, and we're going to give it to our guests. So it's based on the favorite animal. So yesterday Maggie said what the fox. So what your favorite animal? So we start to create this NFT for you and mint it.
Yeah, this is obviously going to be a parrot. We can call
A
it
parrot.
African gray. African
Okay.
gray, yeah.
And by the way, when we get to 100 episodes and we have the 100 holders that the 100 crypto OGs, I will do an event with the whole team of crypto OGs and we give the money. We will relaunch the NFTs and we'll give it to one good cause. So that they just came out 3 days ago with the creative director of crypto OGs. He gave me the idea, said, let's do it. Now,
Amazing.
just to wrap up, number one advice, what would you tell somebody? Everybody's asking here on the chat, like, what portfolio would you buy, what crypto will you hold, etc. So you can reply to somebody with 30 seconds advice. And then, why do you choose to trade in Binance? You choose that you trade a lot in Binance, and you encourage the community to trade in Binance. Those two questions, just to wrap it up.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, one question I guess gets the answer that each and every single person is going to have a different answer depending on their risk preferences. Some people would really would go and losing all their money in the casino, and the other people would do anything but trade, right? So I'm somewhere in the middle. And typically, when you want to go and search for the risk seeking, adventures, you try to go and search for the biggest outliers, so the biggest pumpers and also the biggest dumpers. So you get money a lot in the bull market, but you lose a lot in the bear market.
Mhm.
So I would simply call for the obvious solution, right? So because I strongly believe that it's impossible to get addressed each and every single person in the world independently, individually. Everybody needs to have their own setup and portfolio. I guess that having somebody said basically that it's good to hold in your portfolio in your account at least 1% of Bitcoin and Ethereum. This is typically what I'd also would say and recommend, as long as this is what matches their beliefs or whatever trading career just gets them. And second question is getting the answer in terms of the Binance. I'd used Binance since 2017. I remember me growing as Binance was growing at that time, and I use it because I'm endowed to it. I've been using this for 5 years, so it's quite some time already, almost. And they keep improving. I met CZ. I met CZ in Paris. I met CZ in Dubai. We had pretty amazing chats with the beer and just really open honest talk with a couple of guys with CZ. And I know that he seems to be a very good guy, for sticking with it, right? Because I know that operating such huge firm just like Binance is not an easy task. However, he's modest, he's very constructive, he knows how to persist, how to demand, how to expand. And this is what I definitely would expect from a good exchange. So they are meeting my expectations, and I keep using this.
Amazing. Adrian, it has been an honor to have you on the program. I hope to make it to Dubai by the 5th of October. So, guys, if you haven't followed Adrian, go and follow him in all his social media platforms. It's CryPTOBIRB. I will leave it here in the chat as well before we close the stream. But Adrian, thank you so much for being in the show in Crypto OGs. We wish you the best success, wealth, health, and carry on what you're doing. I'm really proud to have you around my life, and I'm very sure that everybody that went to watch this program in all the streaming platforms, they will start to follow you because you are made of pure intentions. Thank you, guys, and I'll see you in the next Crypto Years episode. We're coming back on Tuesday. Take care. Bye-bye.